Hello, I'm Paul Wilkinson and we're filming today from my Nepali home in Kathmandu. This is a collection of Magar Shaman bells which I've been interested in for a number of years. So I'm here in Nepal making a TV documentary series on shamanism in the Himalayas and also another TV series on all the spiritual festivals of Nepal. So I've been here for about 7 years and also collecting and dealing in ritual objects, but this is a large part of my own collection. So I'm also writing books on shamanism and on symbolic life. So this is an extremely rare pair of shaman bells from far west Nepal. Actually, all of these are from the Magar people from far west Nepal. And but this is the only pair I've ever seen with this square form, and they're tuned together, so they're like a perfect fit apart. So So you can probably see that was beginning to send me into a trance state. I could feel the energy pumping up through my diaphragm and from the base chakra. So these are used for trance states. You'd probably have bell chains and a big belt and a harness if you were a Magar shaman. So as you're moving around, that would also be going, and then you'd be drumming as well. And often shaman working together. So you'd produce this tremendous symphonic effect. Wow, you can see that suddenly sweating as the energy was beginning to come up. So very, very interesting to get bells which are tuned and of this sort of age, at least 500 years old, maybe much older. So the way they're made is they've been made with beeswax, maybe from the hallucinogenic honey that you get in the Himalayas, the big wild bees, and so they'll make it in wax, and then they'll cast it through the lost wax technique, and then one of the things that was making the you've got the different thicknesses and the different sizes, so the different tones, but also the length of the string or the wire holding the bell is actually also determining some of the timing. So and you can see this is it's actually not broken, it's been miscast, and then that's just the roughness of the casting. These balls may have been, they may be skulls, it's very hard to see now. That would have some sort of symbolic meaning. And then the triangle is like the tam, or the temple. It's also a symbol of of the masculine, so when it's pointing up. So the bell inside is the feminine. This is the activating principle, so the fertility within the bell. The bell itself is often seen as feminine, and then the triangular top would be masculine. And then the sound itself is just like the child principle, the creative principle, so the activated force going out into the world. So other pairs of bells, I've got these two, which I haven't really practiced with, I only found these recently. You can hear they're tuned, they're almost identical size, but they're actually tuned differently. And then on the top, you've got a seated shaman figure with the mala around, with his shaman crown, probably in the doorway of the temple. So they have the temples have four doors and a shrine inside, of which they don't enter into. So you have a central figure, a central god figure in the middle, and the shaman pass the offerings in and they point inside. So you sometimes have images with the temple like that, or teaching images, and here they're reading from sacred books, and they're sitting in the lotus posture. So the Magar are an ancient tribe that travel. They have sort of Tibetan origins, but they travel from Tibet. So they're semi-nomadic, and they travel from Tibet all the way through Nepal with their herds into India, and then they're trading things like sheep and goats and cows and yak for other things like metal and silk and I think they bring salt, and then they trade that for other stuff. So, but they're particularly good metal workers, and these are just extraordinary things. So that also would have a symbol. So that would possibly be to do with sort of wholeness. I'm sure that's a doorway. And sometimes the figures themselves become tridents and things as well, with their arms out. So here's a physical object, like a shrine piece. So it's very old and it's got some damage. It's been repaired in actually with sort of hand hammered copper wire, forged wire, metal iron wire. But you can see there are 4 people riding on top of an elephant, with Ganesh in the centre as the teacher, and then 4 shaman reading and doing other rituals. One's got a sword and some sort of basket. This one has 2 bells. Here would be a lamp, so the lamp would be lit to activate the whole thing. And Ganesh is holding a flower and I think a conch for clear communication. So this is Ganesh's shamanic teacher. So Ganesh is often summed up as for his wisdom and guidance, and he features on a lot of shamanic fervour as well as the opener of doors. So he's often thought of as guardian of the threshold, and my shaman teacher Mohan Rai described him as the first shaman. So in Hindu mythology, he had his head chopped off by Shiva by mistake, and then Shiva went and quickly got an elephant's head and put that on his shoulders and brought him back to life. So in a sense, he was a sort of transformed being. He started out as one type of being and transformed into another type of being. So here Ganesh is teaching, and with the same sort of symbolism of the reading and reciting and giving offerings, and the four figures pointing into the centre. So here's a very rough shaman bell. I don't know if you can pick it out, but this is a horse rider, and a praying shaman on the back of the horse. So there's another Magar bronze figure riding the horse. Sometimes they're praying, sometimes doing it. Oh, this one's praying. So this is also bronze, many hundreds of years old, and these would be given as devotional gifts, and also they would travel with the shaman as in their temporary offerings, as their temporary altars, and the smaller ones would be given as gifts into, like given for the gods as gifts, maybe when they're doing a healing or something like that. So this one has a very heavy iron. Lovely decoration around the edge. So all of these are made with the lost wax technique. So they're literally one-offs. So every single one is unique, and there's not going to be a second one the same. This is an amazing bell. Actually, this one has just gone to my friend Sheila Whitaker, who's a sound therapist and a very, very good violinist. So this one, you have a shaman figure praying at the top with a type of flame-like crown, and this shaman figure has two wings either side. So sometimes that would represent Garuda, but I think this is probably a shaman rather than Garuda. And then like tigers, I think, on both ends here. So there's some tigers are sort of symbols for power and energy and nature, a little bit like the lion, but they're seen as a sort of like the king of the beasts or king of the jungle, but they're the bridge between man and nature. So this has an extraordinary. Very subtle. Some bells are tuned also, so they have a sort of sonic effect on the inner ear. So you hear it, but then they make a weird space inside. Because of the way the wings are arrayed, you see this one has no wings, but it's a very similar form. So the form they're making is a trident, like the trishul for Shiva. The trident is also a symbol for the three energy channels that travel up the back. So you've got the central channel and the two side channels that are central for Kundalini. The dangers of doing too many things at once. Absolutely wonderful. Really beautiful. So you've got this praying shaman figure at the top. Wonderful sort of decorative designs here. Quite a similar, you see the sort of opening, like the tam, these bell type designs. Sometimes the zigzags are also represent vitality, also sometimes growing shoots, but you can see the rawness of it. So they have this amazing subtlety and you can see the rings here where they've built this up slowly with wax, with rolling the wax between their hands like that and building it up. So just following that theme. So we've got similar figure, praying figure with the trident on the back. And there's one more like that too, which is one of my favourites because of the rawness and sculptural quality. I mean, I'm also a visual artist, and just they're such sculptural objects. They make me think a bit of Giacometti with his thin figures and that rough quality, where he would also work a lot with wax and sometimes with plaster and then cast. So they're just truly wonderful. They have a sort of naivety and a strength of super lovely. So here also is it's one of the most unusual bells I've ever had. It's got 3 shaman figures at the top and 2 praying shaman figures here, with the loops made up by their legs here, like a knot design. So 5, and there's a very strong thing with number symbolism in shamanism. So you've got this very nice forged bell clapper, folded over and spiraled. And you can see how the figures also make up a trident for the triple energy in the back, going up through the central channel and the side channels meeting at the chakras. So really just wonderful. And then all this secretion on the outside is where over hundreds of years you'd have offerings and things getting stuck to it, and I mean, it's like there's a balancing act between how much you clean a bell up or any other object up to reveal its form, and how much you just leave it alone. But absolutely wonderful, really sculptural and sort of museum quality. So other things, you've got again the same sort of theme. This is nice because you can see very clearly where the wax has been rolled very finely. So the praying figure again with the top knot. That's interesting because right at the very top, that's where on the crown, that's where the metal would have been poured in, and then I forgot what it's called, the lead where the metal comes in has been snapped off. So here I've got two bells here, this one and this one, which have got, they're probably not a pair, although it would be nice to keep them together. So here you've got a bamba, which is a shaman vessel for it's like a water vessel for pouring water, and it also represents Ganesh. So that's his trunk. The body of it is like his body, and the top, the head. And quite often shaman will put healing herbs in the bamba, and then they place the bamba on your head, and then they do mantra to affect your chakras. And then this piece is like the oil lamp. So this is symbolic, but they might also like that at some point, because you can see it sort of presents in a way. And so you have the bamba here at the bottom, and then with the trishul at the top, and you have a sort of paired these paired staves of fire, and then the energy coming up the trishul. And I'll show you how that links to. So this is quite a sort of typical theme with the Magar shamanism. So you've got the same ritual object with the oil lamp for fire, so for fire at the top, 5, and this is also like a lotus, so the flame, and then you've got the trident, and in this case also with a fire piece on the front, and then you have a little animal, that's probably a horse here, and then another shaman figure. Sometimes when you have small figures with a big figure, it either means this is like more important, and you can see it's got the bells, the harness, the long ponytail. So sometimes most of the hair is cut short, but they keep one long strand which sometimes gets meters and meters long at the back, which is often plaited or knotted. So you've got that same symbolism you see coming through, and then they fastened this, so that would probably be attached to something, so that maybe to a base. Very, very nice, and it's nice to see the relationship between the pieces, and the relationship of the symbolism. So you also get a lot of doubling up. So you have sometimes figures where there's a figure on the horse pointing forwards and backwards. This is, you've got 2 shaman here, but they've got like beak-like noses, and then the trident itself becomes the wings, and so that would probably represent Garuda here, but with the trident. And then following the same symbolism that you get on Ferbers and things, the object at the top is the transcendent, a little bit like the head is seen as higher than the feet. So for instance, in places like Bali, you could actually protect your property by having a washing line with your underwear on it around your house, and no one would, even a thief won't duck under the under the washing line with the underwear, because it would be seen as lowering your head under the underwear. So there's a very strong hierarchic sense of above and below, and also even in the costumes you have. So you'll have like peacock feathers maybe as a headdress, or sometimes wild chicken, or like eagle owl or eagle feathers as the headdress. And then somewhere on the costume you might have the feet of the animal, the claws or talons, stitched in maybe onto the dress or onto the bell chain. So you've got like and it sort of means like from top to bottom, so the wholeness, the completeness. So we have everything from top to bottom of this animal, or of this spirit, or of this energy. Sometimes with these bells you have to sort of really get to know them first, to figure out how they play really well. Again, you've got the doubling up back and front figures, both standing on the trident, a little bit like wings, but not, in this case, not as much. Very interesting. Probably some sort of trace of a figure there that's worn out. I don't know what that means. I'll need to find a Magar Shaman to ask. So one of the wonderful things about working with old objects is that the energy of the shaman has been imbued into the objects. I mean, this probably sounds a little bit strange to some people, but I've done loads of Tai Chi and Qigong, and it makes you very, very sensitive to energy. And also as an artist, I'm for many years painting and being aware of putting your consciousness and your energy into the brush marks or into the sculpted objects and sculpted artworks. And so I developed a very strong relationship between my consciousness and my awareness and the energy in my hands, almost like having eyes in the palms of the hands and in the fingertips, and which I'll go into another time actually. But when you're working with antique ritual objects like this, they often give you something. They give you energy, they give you knowledge, and what I find is sometimes I'll have visions come from the objects, and information, sometimes sounds and visions of the landscapes. I mean, actually, I was beginning to see a mountainous landscape and then these huge plains when I was playing these, and that's the energy going into the objects. So at the beginning, many years ago, maybe 30 years ago, when I was really beginning to seriously collect stuff, I was actually collecting them for artistic reasons, but more than sort of spiritual or transformative reasons, because there's something about these that they're like contemporary sculptures in a way, all that feeling gone into the objects. So I began to notice that my hands got hot when I held these ancient objects, and it was a way of actually buying in a way that was efficient and stopped me making too many mistakes. And then I got more and more curious about what it was that was imbuing the objects, how it is that consciousness and the use of something can give the object a type of extra layer of meaning and value. And I got interested in how to do that myself. How do I put the energy into a picture where every brush mark is alive? The Japanese have something they call boki, which is where you're channeling your energy into every hair of the brush to bring it alive. And I practice Zen brush painting for some time as well, and I really feel that the quality of your consciousness, the quality of your presentness, goes into the objects and imbues them with something very very unique. And in a sense, the consciousness is sort of living out through the object. I've had experiences with Van Gogh's, for instance, where you really feel his presence almost looking out from the pictures. And so that sort of grew my curiosity, and obviously both on the aesthetic level as pieces of art, but also on that sort of deep inner level. And I regard these objects as teachers. They're things to learn from on many levels, and to respect. So I really, part of my work is to get these in the hands of practitioners. So I really like the way that the objects bridge the different cultures. So like if you're a Western shaman, shamanism was pretty much destroyed by Christianity and then by the Industrial Revolution, and so we've had to recreate it. And there are some traditions, like some sort of Druid traditions, for instance, and some things in Wicca have remained. But I think almost more you have the energy in the land that's alive. I remember Mohan, when he came to England to visit me, said, "The energy is very strong here. I can still see the light even after 5,000 years." And I thought that was really revealing. That there was something in the spirit of the land, and in the spirit maybe of the shaman from before, that was alive. And so that's very much part of my interest in the objects, not just the historical categorizing and learning their language structures and their symbolic language, like cross-referencing things like the Ganesh here. Obviously I'm very interested in that, and I'm writing a book on shamanic ritual objects as well at the moment. But it's actually only when you manage to get a number of things together, like with this, that you suddenly see the relationships between the bambas and the tridents and the oil lamps and the shaman in relation to other figures. So, for instance, one of the questions on something like this is this Bonjakri? Bonjakri is the wild shaman, the aspect of Shiva that is the shaman teacher. So because you have this trident and the oil lamp, which are both Shivic, both with bells attached here, and the lamp here. But because of that, the scale, I'm now asking: is this the teacher? Is that a child? Because Banjakri is seen as sort of abducting children and then training them, and he protects them from his wife, who's a witch. Because this is a horse, so if that's a horse and this is it could be a child, or it could be a shaman, and so could be a senior shaman, and this is someone learning, or that could be Banjakri. So over time, I know it's a shaman because you've got the long ponytail here, and the belt and the malas. So in time, when you have the objects, you cross-reference them, and gradually you get a little bit more of the meaning, and also obviously working with the shaman, you get the meaning and the power from the objects. So I'll just play it out, and thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed this. Hope you found it interesting and informative. Do let me know if there are videos you want me to make, and do subscribe, and I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.